Hey there, my lovelies. I'm going to begin with Kubla Khan. This was written by Samuel Coleridge and published in 1816, although he wrote it in 1797. We say wrote it because he never actually completed the poem. Kubla Khan, or A Vision in a Dream, a fragment. In Xanadu did Kubla Khan a stately pleasure dome decree, where Alf the sacred river ran through caverns measureless to man, down to a sunless sea. So twice 5 miles of fertile ground, with walls and towers, were girdled round, and there were gardens bright with sinuous rills, where blossomed many an incense-bearing tree, and here were forests ancient as the hills, enfolding sunny spots of green. But oh, that deep romantic chasm which slanted down the green hill athwart a cedarn cover, a savage place as holy and enchanted as air beneath a waning moon was haunted by woman wailing for her demon lover, and from this chasm with ceaseless turmoil seething, as if this earth in fast thick pants were breathing, a mighty fountain momently was forced, amid whose swift half-intermitted burst, huge fragments vaulted like rebounding hail of chaffy grain beneath the thresher's flail, and mid those dancing rocks at once and ever it flung up momentarily the sacred river, 5 miles meandering with a mazy motion, through wood and dale the sacred river ran, then reached the caverns measureless to man, and sank in tumult to a lifeless ocean. And mid this tumult Kubla heard from afar ancestral voices prophesying war. The shadow of the dome of pleasure floated midway on the waves, where was heard the mingled measure from the fountain and the caves. It was a miracle of rare device, a sunny pleasure dome with caves of ice. A damsel with a dulcimer in a vision once I saw. It was an Abyssinian maid, and on her dulcimer she played, singing of Mount Abora. Could I revive within me her symphony and song? To such a deep delight 'twould win me, that with music loud and long I would build that dome in air, that sunny dome, those caves of ice, and all who heard should see them there, and all should cry, beware, beware, his flashing eyes, his floating hair, weaving a circle round him thrice, and close your eyes with holy dread, for he on honeydew hath fed, and drunk the milk of paradise. The Lady of Shalott, written in 1832 by Alfred, Lord Tennyson. This is a poem about the danger and beauty of romantic love, about the conflict and consequences of an artist in the throes of romantic desire. Part 1. On either side the river lie long fields of barley and of rye, that cloth the world and met the sky, and through the field the road runs by to many-towered Camelot. The yellow-leaved water lily, the green-sheathed daffodilly, tremble in the water chilly round about Shalott. Willows whiten, aspens shiver, the sunbeam showers break and quiver, in the stream that runneth ever by the island in the river, flowing down to Camelot. 4 grey walls and 4 grey towers overlook a space of flowers, and the silent isle embowers the Lady of Shalott. Underneath the bearded barley, the reaper, reaping late and early, hears her ever chanting cheerly, like an angel, singing clearly, o'er the stream of Camelot, piling the sheaves in furrows airy. Beneath the moon, the reaper, wary, listens, whispers, 'tis the fairy Lady of Shalott. The little isle is all enrailed with a rose fence, and overtrailed with roses, by the marge unhailed, the shallop flitteth silken sailed. Skimming down to Camelot, a pearl garland winds her head, she leaneth on a velvet bed, full royally apparelled, the Lady of Shalott. Part 2. No time hath she to sport and play, a charmed web she weaves alway. A curse is on her if she stay her weaving either night or day, to look down to Camelot. She knows not what the curse may be, therefore she weaveth steadily. Therefore no other care hath she, the Lady of Shalott. She lives with little joy or fear, over the water running near, the sheep bell tinkles in her ear, before her hangs a mirror clear, reflecting towered Camelot. And as the mazy web she whirls, she sees the surly village churls, and the red cloaks of the market girls pass onward from Shalott. Sometimes a troop of damsels glad, an abbot on an ambling pad, sometimes a curly shepherd lad, or long-haired page in crimson clad, goes by to towered Camelot. And sometimes through the mirror blue, the knights come riding two and two. She hath no loyal knight and true, the Lady of Shalott. But in her web she still delights to weave the mirror's magic sights. For often through the silent nights a funeral with plumes and lights and music came from Camelot. Or when the moon was overhead, came two young lovers lately wed. I am half sick of shadows, said the Lady of Shalott. Part 3. A bow shot from her bower eaves. He rode between the barley sheaves. The sun came dazzling through the leaves, and flamed upon the brazen greaves of bold Sir Lancelot. A red cross knight for ever kneeled to a lady in his shield, that sparkled on the yellow field beside remote Shalott. The gemmy bridle glittered free, like to some branch of stars we see, hung in the golden galaxy. The bridal bells rang merrily as he rode down from Camelot. And from his blazoned baldric slung a mighty silver bugle hung, and as he rode his armour rang beside remote Shalott. All in the blue unclouded weather, thick jewelled shone with the saddled leather, the helmet and the helmet feather burn like one burning flame together, as he rode down from Camelot. As often through the purple night, below the starry clusters bright, some bearded meteor travelling light moves over green Shalott. His broad clear brow in sunlight glowed, on burnished hooves his war horse trode, for underneath his helmet flowed his coal-black curls, as on he rode, as he rode down from Camelot. From the bank and from the river he flashed into the crystal mirror. Tira-lira, tira-lit-tira, sang Sir Lancelot. She left the web, she left the loom, she made 3 paces through the room. She saw the water-flower bloom, she saw the helmet and the plume. She looked down to Camelot. Out flew the web and floated wide. The mirror cracked from side to side. The curse is upon me, she cried, the Lady of Shalott. Part 4. In the stormy east wind straining, the pale yellow woods were waning, the broad stream in its banks complaining, heavily the low sky raining, overtowered Camelot. Outside the isle a shallow boat, beneath a willow lay afloat, below the carven stone she wrote, the Lady of Shalott. A cloud-white crown of pearl she dight, all rainmented in snowy white, that loosely flew her zone in sight, clasped with one blinding diamond bright, her wide eyes fixed on Camelot, through the squally east wind keenly blew, with folded arms serenely, by the water stood the queenly Lady of Shalott, with a steady stony glance, like some bold seer in a trance, beholding all his own mischance, mute with a glassy countenance. She looked down to Camelot. It was the closing of the day. She loosed the chain, and down she lay. The broad stream bore her far away, the Lady of Shalott, and when to sailors, while they roam by creeks and outfalls far from home, rising and dropping with the foam, from dying swans wild warblings come, blown shoreward, so to Camelot, still as the boat head wound along, the willowy hills and fields among, they heard her chanting her death song, the Lady of Shalott. A long-drawn carol, mournful, holy, she chanted loudly, chanted lowly, till her eyes were darkened wholly, and her smooth face sharpened slowly, turned toward Camelot. For ere she reached upon the tide the first house by the waterside, singing in her song she died, the Lady of Shalott. Under tower and balcony, by garden wall and gallery, a pale, pale corpse she floated by, dead cold, between the houses high, dead into towered Camelot. Knight and burgher, lord and dame, to the planked wharfage came. Below the stern they read her name, the Lady of Shalott. They crossed themselves, their stars they blessed, knight, minstrel, abbot, squire, and guest. They lay a parchment on her breast that puzzled more than all of the rest. The well-fed wits at Camelot, the web was woven curiously, the charm is broken utterly. Draw near and fear not, this is I, the Lady of Shalott. And finally today, William Wordsworth's I wandered lonely as a cloud. He was out on a walk with his younger sister Dorothy on the 15th of April, 1802, when he was inspired by a forest counter and a long belt of daffodils. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high o'er vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils, beside the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. Continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way, they stretched in never-ending line along the margin of a bay. 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. The waves beside them danced, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. A poet could not but be gay in such a jocund company. I gazed and gazed, but little thought what wealth the show to me had brought. For oft, when on my couch I lie, in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon that inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude. And then my heart with pleasure fills, and dances with the daffodils. I hope you've enjoyed these three, as I say, rather eclectic mix of poems. Ciao for now.